reproductive problems in case of small ruminants. Always reproduction of these animals is considered quantitatively. A owner will always consider reproductive efficiency of his flock by counting total number of lambs born, kids born in a year, and always he is happy with number of additions. If those are befitting for his economics, definitely he will not bother for reproduction of individual sheep or individual goat. So mass performance is considered as per the reproduction. In case of small ruminants, it's considered. I am associated with the clinical cases since last 30 years. And when I was at Rural Veterinary College, Udgir, I was directly associated with the sheep and goat sector. The part is very nearer to Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Maharashtra, Latur district. Total clinical experience regarding the reproductive activity of particularly Usmanabadi goats and Deccani sheep, I have tried to compile. And to start with the topic, I will say that cases are reported for Anoestrum and repeat breeding in case of goats. But as far as the sheep is considered, very, very rare presentation of cases to the clinics is recorded. That doesn't mean there are no cases. There are n number of cases, but reporting to the clinics is the major issue as far as these two problems are considered. These small ruminants, they have wide potential, and through their reproductive activities only, they can get maximum economic returns. I'm happy to share that goat is having such a wide capacity that one nondescript goat from Amravati district has delivered 8 live kids. Usmanabadi goat has delivered 7 live kids per term. There are thousands of goats which are producing 5 kids per term. Fecundity potential, if it is properly utilized with the managemental practices, that will lead to higher economic benefits. As far as the sheep is considered, Maharashtra is very proud to have Nari Suvarna breed, where 2 lambs per term are assured. Fecundity potential, if it is increased in case of small ruminants, and if reproduction is controlled or monitored, definitely this particular business will be a good opportunity for we all. And fertility, which is defined as the ability to produce maximum within a stipulated time limit as per the norms of the species, that implies to these two species where 5 months and 5 days, that is the term period which needs to be coined with postpartum recovery and also a cycle. Beauty of the reproduction in case of sheep and goats is about the seasonal reproduction. As far as the goats are considered, they are coming into the stress, and with improved managemental practices, we have observed that the kiddings are going on throughout the year. In case of sheep, still the sector is under grazing management. It is still limited to short day breeder activity. Since the number of young one borns are more, these two species are under the litter bearing species. And one of the most important thing is that maximum reproductive problems are there in case of sheep and goats. Those are neglected one. Reproduction itself is activity which takes place only if everything is comfortable as far as the body physiological system is considered. Otherwise, reduced degrees of fertility, it leads to infertility problems. And this infertility in total, in case of sheep and goats, is culminated to 2 important conditions. Number 1 is anoestrus, and second one is repeat breeding. The problem of reproductive failure has to be divided into 2 parts. This type of grouping, where infectious and non-infectious type of causes are more important in small ruminants. When we consider about the non-infectious type of causes, least of causes is more. And all these causes are manageable. But as far as the infectious causes are considered, it is very difficult to manage infectious type of infertility in small ruminants. There are specific reasons also for this. In case of small ruminants, the major important issue with non-infectious repeat breeding problem is a functional type of infertility, nutritional type of infertility, And this particular infertility is always defined as no animal is normal and infertile. Infertility is a symptom complex of multiple problems. 2 or 3 factors, they converge and then they create the problem. In small ruminants, congenital defects are more. Animals having defective reproductive system are born. And even if those are born, owners are happy to maintain them for mutton purpose. And after 20 kg, that is 6 months, 20 kg, with that particular ratio, they put these animals to slaughter. Of course, when there is a flock of 100, 200 animals, record keeping is very, very difficult. Individual tagging of animals is necessary to control the reproduction. And follow-up for reproductive problems is always missing in case of sheep and goats. As far as these congenital and hereditary problems are considered, in case of large ruminants, it is possible to check reproductive apparatus at the stage of pubertal stress. But in case of small ruminants, when a goat is coming into the stress at the age of 9 months, 22 kg body weight, gynecoclinical examination, which includes rectal examination, may not be conclusive in confirmation of normalcy of genitalia. Of course, finger stall can be installed and middle finger is assessing the reproductive apparatus. V-shaped genitalia, that to uterine horns, we can palpate. Problem detection is difficult. Sonographic assessment of reproductive apparatus in case of small ruminant, it's still not common for professional breeders. Regularly, we are not handling such a type of clinical cases, and therefore it is difficult. At institutional level, definitely, yes. At tehsil places, at district places, we are using ultrasonographic machine and we are assessing the reproductive apparatus even in case of small ruminants. These reproductive abnormalities of minor types, they create hindrance in the reproduction, and therefore such a type of animals, they continue as Anoestrum. They are maintained for mutton purpose and they are put to the slaughter. But if these animals are given well attention, at least few cases can be brought into reproduction, simple type of interference. If we observe the external genitalia of many newborn kids, you will find that the external genitalia is showing some or other type of abnormalities. And the percentage is 15% to 20%, very high percent in case of small ruminants. As far as the environment is considered, definitely it has an important role in reproduction of small ruminants, because basically these small ruminants are seasonal breeders. Temperature is the major issue. Summer stress is more important in case of sheep. Humidity, photoperiodism, these factors, they play important role as far as initiation of reproduction is considered. Seasonality is the major issue. And unless and until managemental practices are optimized, it is difficult to make the animal in estrus. Those animals which are coming into the stress, they indicate that they have no stress. They are absolutely stress-free, and then only they are coming into the estrus. So this is an acid test to recognize that the animal is absolutely comfortable as far as the management is considered, nutrition is considered, environment is considered, if animal comes into the stress. But when animal fails to come into the stress, environmental factors are more important in case of small ruminants. As far as the health issues are considered, group management, flock management is a regular practice. It is a traditional practice. But in scientific managemental practice, it is advised to work out with sample analysis. Quarterly, 6-monthly analysis of blood sample, urine sample, fecal sample is necessary. Otherwise, it is very difficult to recognize anemia, simple thing, anemia in case of animals. And anemia and Anoestrum, these are the best friends in case of ruminants. So blood analysis is important one. Fecal analysis is important for parasitism, and many a times chronic debilitating type of diseases where the body weight is reducing, that counts much. And therefore health is the major issue, which will also restrict reproductive activity, and animal will continue the Anoestrum type of activity for a long period. In case of small ruminants, group feeding is practiced. Animals are either allowed to graze, semi-intensive system will provide some feed and fodder at the herd level, or with zero grazing, total ration balancing program. It is proclaimed, but as far as the adoption is considered, it is questionable. And therefore, nutritional infertility plays an important role. As I said, in case of anemia, copper, cobalt, and ferrous. But of all these nutritional factors, we all will have to recognize the first and the foremost factor, and that is energy. In case of reproduction, there is a direct relationship of energy, progesterone, and fertility. Please remember, there is a direct relationship between energy, progesterone, and fertility. More the energy, more is the progesterone, and more the progesterone, more is the fertility. Negative energy balance will reduce progesterone level, and progesterone level, once it gets reduced, it will lead to reduced fertility. Assured energy is necessary, and body score conditioning, and body weight, these are the two issues which can indicate about energy status of the animal. This energy is directly related with the blood glucose level. So those animals which are failing to come into the stress, if we want to make them pregnant, if we want to make them into the stress, none other than good is available for the treatment. Please remember, excellent results we get just by increasing the blood glucose level. This will stimulate total hormonal interplay, and by which the GnRH system will be activated, and then animal will start showing the symptoms of the stress. Second important is the protein deficiency. 8% to 10% should be the level of proteins in the feed of sheep and goats, which we are maintaining at farm level. Protein is related with the phosphorus, and this is related with the estrus. Protein, phosphorus, and estrus, this is the relationship. We will have to think about the protein levels, because through proteins only cyclicity is normalized. ATP and AMP, those are provided, and then animal comes into the stress. Of course, a very small quantity of fat, that is also necessary, and ration balancing program should ensure provision of fat also. Mineral deficiency of the 7 major and 22 minor type of minerals, copper, cobalt, and ferrous, hematinic, these are more important, and more blood hemoglobin status assured is the induction of the stress. Vitamins, it is more related with vitamin A for reproduction, that too during pregnancy. But water scarcity in case of sheep and goats, how much animal they can sustain with the water. Yes, sheep and goat, they can sustain, but what about the reproduction? Reproduction necessitates, or it is necessity for the reproduction to have ample access of water, even during summer, even during the scarcity period. And therefore, if nutritional deficiency is addressed properly, definitely animals will regularize the reproductive activities. There should not be underfeeding, there should not be overfeeding, and most important thing is that faulty feeding is also not expected in case of sheep and goats to monitor the reproduction. No animal should suffer Anoestrum problem if we have a ration balancing program. And National Institute of Nutrition and Physiology, Bangalore, ICR Institute, has developed mineral mixture only for sheep and goats, very specific. This type of approaches are necessary in case of small ruminants for the assured reproduction. This is the balance. If you are maintaining the nutrition, you will get the fruits, you will get the milk, you will get the economics, you will get the money. This glass is representative of money, and therefore proper nutrition is necessary as far as the reproduction is considered. Of course, one should consider the stress for small ruminants in terms of lactation. Nowadays, we recommend professional poultry farms for milking of the animals. Milk is fetching more price, and therefore lactating goats should not suffer nutritive deficiencies. Maximum milk out is expected, and therefore there should not be any lactational stress. 1.5 liters to 2 liters is a common thing in case of goats. It is proved beyond doubt. If we are maintaining and if we are managing the goats properly, can also yield 2 to 3 liters milk, and therefore lactation should not lead to any type of stress in case of small ruminants. Suckling, of course, for first 2 months, the kids, they should not create any type of stress for lactating type of goats and also sheep. Growth factor, up to second kidding, third kidding, sheep and goat, they are still growing. So during this particular period, nutrition should be considered with additional support for proper growth and the development of sheep and goats. Loss of the body weight, possible due to ill health, possible due to environment, possible due to adverse climatic factors that needs to be addressed regularly, that will lead to proper physiological functioning of the body and normalcy of the reproduction. Now, this Anoestrum type of condition, it is always a period of inactivity, sexual inactivity. Animal will not cycle. This is also seen after postpartum period. For many weeks, animal, they will not cycle. Now, for cyclicity, I told that progesterone is most important. And it is not the progesterone, but it is progesterone and estrogen. These two things are important. Ardhanari Nateshwar function is through progesterone. Progesterone is the estrogen and estrogen is the progesterone. They have a role like a cycle, pedal of a cycle. More progesterone will lead to lowering down of the estrogen. Higher level of estrogen will lower down the progesterone, and this type of pedaling, if it is a faster one, animal will show cycle. If both the things are running with each other, no more reduction of each hormone, at the period is Anoestrum. Equal levels of estrogen, progesterone, animal will not cycle. It should have a pedaling. Then only animal will cycle. This is very important. Please remember. Second important is the subestrus period, silent stress. Animal will come into the stress but will not cycle. We will have to check this type of condition only through ultrasonography. Otherwise, correctly, it is impossible for us to diagnose. Many cases, animal may not come into the stress because of the persistent corpus luteum. Once again, the sonography. Or for these two things, number one, silent stress or persistent corpus luteum, Anoestrum animals can be considered fit for utilization of or adoption of synchronization program. Blind shots of PGF2 alpha, definitely they will suffice the purpose. In subestrus and also in case of persistent CL, the first shot will lead to 40% animals to come into the stress. The next shot after 11 days will also help bring other 60% animals into the stress, and there are 6-7 different type of ways to make these animals in stress through synchronization method. Poor conception rate is not the only responsibility of female. Males are equally important. Potency of the male needs to be checked. Almost all states have now facility to go for karyotyping. All genetics laboratories, they can assess potential of the male animals, not only in case of bulls and buffalo bulls, rams and the bucks needs to be tested, because now we are entering in the era of artificial insemination in case of goats, and for that purpose assessment of a male animal is necessary. So for that purpose, potential males needs to be screened through genetic analysis. Of course, unless and until there are cases of cystic ovaries, continuous repeat breeder animals and assessment through sonography, this may not be possible. Cyclic non-breeding tendency, that is repeat breeding tendency. This is most important. Animal will continue, but we are going to discuss this under the repeat breeding. Post-service Anoestrum, animal will come into the stress, animal will be served, and thereafter animal will off the stress. Neither there will be conception nor there will be continuation of the cycle. And many animals after conception, they may go for early embryonic mortality. So total period is not useful as far as the reproduction is considered. Now, such a type of animals which are not performing, which are not coming into the stress, how to assess them? The first thing is that we will have to assess them, diagnose them. And this diagnosis is possible if our regular observations are going on. Buck parading is practiced in many farms. So generally, buck parading will indicate that which animal is served, how many animals have been served, and which animals are not yet served. Out of 100, if there are 30 sheep or goats which are unserved for a period of 15 days or 20 days after initiation of the breeding season, in those animals, it is possible to go for synchronization with PGF2 alpha. This will rule out the possibility of those silent breeder animals and those animals having persistent CL for which treatment is necessary. And this is to be dealt with once again the formula energy, progesterone, and fertility. We prefer herbal drugs because they initiate estrogenic type of activity. They initiate uterine type irritation. This will lead to release of GNR. So I was telling about the hormonal type of approach, and in case of hormones, have personally tried progesterone in case of goats, and I have got the results. Only thing is that the dose, it matters. And in case of goats, we do not have to go for 250 milligram of the progesterone. So 100 milligram will suffice the purpose. And 50 milligram presentation is available as a human presentation. So I request that whenever there is a case of Anoestrum and when you are sure about it, you can very well try 50 milligrams of progesterone one shot. Animal will come into the stress within 8 to 9 days, and definitely that will be useful. I have also tried, just for your information, we are using the ear implants in case of large animals. So as far as the gonadotropins are considered, we should not try these type of gonadotropins in case of small ruminants. But of course, progesterone we can use, and there are very limited type of success reports as far as the estrogen is considered. But GnRH plus PGF2 alpha in combination has definitely advantage in case of sheep and goats, and we can very well try ovsing protocol or the selecting type of protocol in case of small ruminants. GPG or GP protocols are useful in case of the goats, and we can have fertility in case of the goats. As far as the stimulus is considered, those true Anoestrum cases, we can very well stimulate them for induction of the stress with n number of herbal treatment, because basically clinical cases are from poor owners, and therefore we should prefer such a type of herbal treatments which are available in the market that will suffice the purpose. And there are dozen companies which are available for such a type of treatments. In case of small ruminants, if we go for combination therapies, herbal heat inducer plus mineral treatment, minerals plus probiotics, prebiotics, or if we go with stress reducer, very, very important. In market, herbal stress reducers are available, immunosupplements are available. These type of things, they definitely help to treat the cases of Anoestrum in case of both sheep and goats, because animals are basically under the stress, and only we have to stimulate them for induction of the stress. Why animals should suffer Anoestrum? Why there should not be proper induction of fertility or the stress? As per our expectations, after voluntary waiting period of parturition, why animals should not return to the stress? That should be the consideration of a professional veterinarian. And therefore, please remember that whenever we are attending any case of kidding or lambing, always indicate to that particular owner that smooth parturition is one assignment, but the next and important thing is that if this animal comes into the stress, then only this particular approach or this particular treatment will be useful and successful. So preventive approach for induction of timely stress is very, very important. And in case of goats, 15 days period is required after kidding for involution of the uterus. On paper, 15 days period is required for sexual rest. If we add one more month to reduce the stress, maybe of milking, maybe of season, maybe of environment, we should go for herbal heat inducers. We should go for flushing method, where we are increasing the energy level, where we are stimulating the animal for induction of the stress. This preventive approach definitely reduce stress problem in case of sheep and goats by at least 50%. I'm 100% sure that this preventive approach is necessary in case of small ruminants, and every time we should consider every parturition for adopting preventive approach to induce the next postpartum stress. With this unstressed type of cases, we can very well handle. Also, it is possible for us to monitor the reproduction in case of small ruminants. Now, the next important topic regarding repeat breeding. I have not handled any type of repeat breeding case of sheep in the clinics, but definitely I have attended many cases of repeat breeding in case of the goats. Clear-cut distinction is necessary for this particular infertility problem into infectious one and non-infectious one. Non-infectious repeat breeding problem indicates that animal comes into the stress regularly, indicates normalcy of pH, assessment of vaginal smear also indicates normal picture, but after 3-4 cycles, animal is failing to conceive. In case of non-infectious repeat breeder animals, that too sheep and goats, mineral supplementation, energy, these things are only tried and we can go for it. If sonographic machine is available, ovulation we can monitor for synchronization of mating, but otherwise there is a little scope as far as the non-infectious cases are considered for the treatment. Of course, hormonal treatment will not suffice the purpose in case of small ruminants. Repeat breeding in case of small ruminants is related with the infectious factors, and infections are prevalent in case of small ruminants. The story starts right on the day of kidding and lambing. Maximum number of kiddings and lambings are handled, and therefore infection will enter inside the uterus. It will stabilize inside the uterus, and animal will continue infectious repeat breeding problem. These are non-specific type of infections. Please remember, in maximum number of repeat breeder small ruminants, infections are non-specific one. And these non-specific infections are common type of organisms which are residing in the reproductive tract. Impossible to remove these type of infections from the normal reproductive tract because these are fluctuating type of conditions. Infection will fluctuate, and here uterine defense mechanism is failing to control the infection. Otherwise, in normal course, professional phagocytes which are available in the body, polymorphonuclear cells, macrophages, monocytes, they fight against the infection bacteria and they reduce the infection. Endometritis is a self-limiting in case of small ruminants, but it is fluctuating. Infection will reduce, but again it will flourish. Undulating type of infection will continue in case of small ruminant, and that is the major problem. Many times antibiotics and antiseptics are selected, preferred for use in case of endometritis. No antibiotic, no antiseptic is of any use for controlling endometritis. It is important to note that in case of small ruminants, flooring of the shade must be thought thrice, because never it should remain moist. Maximum professional owners, even the traditional animal owners, they keep all these animals on such a type of moist floorings where infection easily enters into the uterus, into the reproductive tract. Flooring must be completely dry. Complete dry flooring is necessary in case of sheep and goats. This problem is more important in case of dairy animals. Please remember, 99% dairy farms, they prefer cleaning of the dairy animals. And I have not read any type of scientific book where regular cleaning of animals is recommended. Cleaning of udder is recommended. Washing of udder is recommended only before milking, but after washing, it must be cleaned and dried off. That is necessary. Water remains on the flooring. There is every chance for the infection to flourish. And small ruminants, they suffer only because infection which enters into the uterus avails facility of incubator uterus. Please remember, incubator uterus. Uterus is moist, dark, warm, sterile. It has facilitative environment for propagation. Nutrients are available. N number of microorganisms are there, and mixed infection, they remain for months together. So such a type of 5-star facility is available, accommodation is available to the infection, and it is very difficult to remove such a type of infection from the endometrium. These non-specific infections, they have very important characters. Those are not caused by the specific pathogens. These are opportunistic type of organisms. They are available in the universe and they enter inside the uterus. Those are influenced by perpetuating or predisposing causes. Whenever there is a stress, infection will flourish. No severe genital infection. It will not cause any type of severe type of infection, but only animal will repeat. They will engulf sperms, they will engulf zygote, they will engulf conceptus. They will also compete for the nutrients which are available in the uterine milk, and thus there is embryonic mortality. So these type of infections, they are very, very detrimental as far as the pregnancy is considered. These organisms, they cause uterine inflammation. Please remember, whenever we treat the cases for eliminating infection, but we never think about inflammation of the uterus, because endometritis is both infection plus inflammation. We treat for infection, but inflammation continues, and therefore animal cycles. And we say that antibiotics are not good and they are not having efficacy for treating the endometritis. They cause infection, will also cause denudation of mucosa. Unnecessary uterine secretions are increased. Uterine environment is disturbed, pH is disturbed. Bacterial organisms, they will produce toxins, and n number of things are caused by these type of organisms. And therefore, friends, whenever we have to go for treatment of endometritis in case of repeat bleeding, we have to consider intrinsic mechanism which is available in the body, that is uterine defense mechanism, that we have to stimulate. So story about the infection will not stop unless and until there is interference. Clearance of infection is necessary. Whatever is available inside the uterus, that needs to be cleared. And many uterine tonics, ecbolics, uterine cleansers are that way useful in case of sheep and goats. Herbal ecbolics, ample use of herbal ecbolics is possible to reduce the uterine infections in case of small ruminants. N number of companies are there, and these are the cheap type of medicaments available. One of the most important thing in case of sheep and goats is about nondescript type of category of the animals. Because of indiscriminate breeding, maximum number of population is now under nondescript category. Slowly we are entering in the era of nondescript small ruminants. There should not be any type of nondescript small ruminant. Then only the fertility will be maximum. Then only the reproduction will count. And most important thing is that whenever we are using the male animals for breeding, bull apron like thing, buck apron, ram aprons are very simple one. It is only a piece of either cloth or fiber cloth which we can tie behind the two forelimbs that can limit the reproduction, that can limit the mating, indiscriminate type of mating in case of the ruminants. Cases, if we treat for Anoestrum and repeat breeding, it is possible to go for 8th kidding, 9th kidding, 6th lambing, 7th lambing in case of small ruminants. Otherwise, our potential small ruminants, they will regularly go to slaughter after 2nd or 3rd type of kidding and lambing. after every parturition, after every kidding, that preventive approach for both Anoestrum and repeat bidding in case of small ruminants will improve the economics of the farmer bidders, and also it will help provide scientific managemental practices to optimize the reproduction in case of small ruminants. Thank you very much.